Since the last Future of Berserk video, longtime friend of Kentaro Miura, Koji Mori, brought back Berserk with Studio Gaga to bring the manga to an end. Since even then, an anime memorial of the movies released on television with some scenes never before animated being adapted, and since then, a mysterious countdown appeared. A lot has happened in the space of a year. In fact, it's not even 2023 yet, but with some of these updates, it's been hard enough not to make tons of bite-sized videos, but that's not the kind of content I want to make. So now that the series is back on trajectory and being wrapped up by Koji Mori and Studio Gaga, let's take a look at the future of Berserk 2023. As of this video, and as of January 2023, there have been 7 installments of the manga thanks to the new team. Originally, they wanted to finish the Elf Island chapter of the Fantasia arc with 6 installments, but had to stretch it out one last episode, which they just released. In it, they are making increasingly impressive attempts at Miura's art style, with their colour pages in particular being their best work. In the latest chapter, 371, Falconia is given a port. Wyndham never had a port, and it didn't seem like Falconia had one either, but I think most people seeing this probably came to the same conclusion as me. With the team on a boat and with Ricketts and the Bakiraka off-continent, it's a very appealing set piece for the endgame of this manga. So the team is making active strides to finish off Miura's masterpiece, at the very least. Casca has been taken from Elfhelm to Falconia by Griffith, and with the crew now back on their boats, heading back to the continent too, any sense of complacence that these characters had is utterly gone. I will go through this individual chapter more analytically, like whenever a batch of 3 chapters builds up, which is what I've been doing. You can check out my videos thus far on that. But some feelings of characterization are lost, and there is a very different sense of things when reading these chapters. It isn't a seamless experience. So maybe the method of carrying on the episode count and the arc number and the same title, maybe all of that was jumping the gun a little. But at the very least, they kept the note of Miura's passing at the end of volume 41, so at least years from now, newcomers can tell what's happened here. With a lot of these chapters, they have been releasing some colour pages. I'm pretty sure the first colour page is going to be the front cover for volume 42, and this illustration of Zod and the illustration we got last time of the Elf Island inhabitants are going to end up being 2 sides of the insert poster for said volume. So far, this chapter puts us 118 pages into the 42nd volume. Around 140 if you count all of the ancillary pages that will be added at the end of the day. We would need 2 more chapters to reach the page count of 41, which was 176 pages, though that was the smallest looking volume by far out of the entire series. The thing is, who knows what kind of volumes the team are going for? At some point, creative decisions, for better or worse, are going to have to be made. Like the port in Falconia, these decisions are going to be more regular and maybe more divisive as well. It's also interesting to take into account the percentage of the series completion. Miura often gave updates as to the progress of the series as he went along. At the end of the Hawk of the Millennium Empire arc, he claimed to be 60 to 70% of the way through the entire story. At that point, there were 307 chapters, and we now have received a further 64. If 307 was 60%, then we are very, very close to 80% done now. If 307 was 70%, then we are well into the 80% as of this very moment. It does feel like that too, partly because of the nature of the new team. The beginning half of the manga had segments which only contained a handful, or number in the tens of chapters. Towards the end, we were getting segments of the story like 64 chapters, 57 chapters. With the express purpose of telling us the ending, I don't know if we can really expect any progress to hold up too much, in terms of these percentages anymore. The pace may have increased. Segments that may have been may now not be. The one thing I think is for certain is that we are now 80% into the story, with 20% left. This is the big hump that Miura was trying to write and get around, which now pits all the characters together for one last encounter. There is still a lot to be done, obviously, but that's the gist of it. In terms of the anime, Berserk Memorial Edition has shaped up to be a lot better than I did initially give it credit for. Is this the adaptation we all wanted? No. But it's taking active steps towards it. A fully hand-drawn scene with a single CG reference for Guts' torso. This is an adaptation of Wounds, one of the best chapters in Berserk, and one that's never been adapted fully, not even really in 97. The new Shiro Sagasu background music is quite good, with notes of some of the later Black Swordsman soundtracks, which was a nice touch. Between that and the Bonfire of Dreams, specifically the new Susumu Hirasawa song, it's been a pretty good adaptation, aside from that CGI. It turns out we got a re-release of the movies with a total of 4 new scenes, and each of them were quite lengthy and added quite a lot to the adaptation as a whole. This is the Casca Judo conversation, which leads into the Bonfire of Dreams. Both of those together last for 10 minutes. The Guts and Judo conversation in the tavern, which turns up another 10 minutes. the adaptation of Wounds, which gives us an extra 15 minutes. And it looks like we're gonna get a declaration of war scene that's extended too. It's been spoiled on the official calendars, and it made a sneaky appearance in the episode 2 music video. How far they actually go remains to be seen, but they actually chose really well-rounded character-defining scenes, which is applaudable. They also now, despite not being a perfect adaptation, they now have the key scenes adapted if they were ever gonna make a sequel. And that's what brings us to the final topic of today's video, the countdown which coincided with the release of the Memorial Edition anime. The countdown, it turns out, was for the Blu-ray set of the Memorial Edition. So there you have it, that's all folks. And on one side of the covers, it looks like a new illustration of Femto for the set, probably once again undertaken by Naoyuki Onda, who did the new Wounds adaptation. The rest of the new scenes were CGI'd, so it's hard to tell. At least it wasn't Berserk 2016 Memorial Edition behind the countdown. The grass is always a little bit shitter somewhere else. Just remember that, and you'll go far as a Berserk fan. We do technically have a new anime moment to look forward to with the declaration of war. So for those who were genuinely disappointed, there you go. Just focus on that now. This is a better version of the movie still. The Blu-ray does have an interesting special feature which many fans have been looking forward to. It's the video which Miura took of himself for the Berserk exhibition. It's the video in which he confirms that Guts is going to separate himself from the crew, and it's the last footage of Kentaro Miura ever recorded. Is it a little bit bad of them to put that behind the paywall of a premium priced Japanese Blu-ray? Yeah, it leaves a bad taste in my mouth, but no, genuinely. I'm aware of Japan's market for anime home sales, but this price for what is essentially 4 new scenes and the slightest of slightest touch-ups sickens me. I'm sorry. I am sorry. If you've been with this channel long, you know I don't want to be that person, but it does make you wonder. If Hakusensha got 4 new scenes, called it a day, and charged this much, it makes you wonder if maybe this kind of thinking may or may not have influenced their decision to get Studio Gaga to carry on with the series. That is an on-the-fly and skeptical thought, which I hope is in no way true, but that price for 4 new scenes, and to put Miura's final recording and to slap Memorial Edition on it, and to charge as much as they are, I wish it didn't have a weird taste in my mouth, but before leaving off, I thought I'd kind of mention the similarity between the Game of Thrones prequel House of the Dragon and the current Berserk. Despite George Martin being alive and having already published the content for this show, it's a history book with glimpses and passive mentions of events. These are then extrapolated and threaded together to make a linear TV show. Both the current Berserk and this show are working with little details and trying to tell them in the exact same medium and method of their primary installments. I also find that their weaknesses are very similar. In House of the Dragon, years go by between episodes, and despite trying to fill in details, sometimes they are so sparse in the book that even the padded out episode seems like it's skipping over so much. In the same way, Berserk feels like it's cutting to and fro different viewpoints that have a trajectory, but we don't get to see every part of either of them. The collapse of Elfhelm was mainly off-screened for everyone's perspective. I just hope the comparisons end there, and the team carry on to make a fitting continuation, but don't end up like another beloved series, Dune, where the author, this time Frank Herbert, passed on and his son made 2 further follow-ups, which failed on many counts. I've been juggling thoughts of these series around in my head for a while now. What's best? A series which probably remains unfinished forever like A Song of Ice and Fire? A series which gets finished by someone else, like Dune? Or a series that rushedly finishes everything so that it comes to an end before its author dies, like the existential whirlwind that Stephen King went on to finish The Dark Tower after a near-fatal car accident? In this world, where we don't get what we want, and Miura left this world so unfortunately soon, what's the best outcome for Berserk? Comes down to personal preference, I know, but I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. Like the video for more and subscribe for more. Thanks to my patrons, and have a wonderful night.